Good morning, everybody. This is Pamela checking in on a video vlog, chat, speakeasy, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I thought I'd get on here and talk to you about a couple things about YouTube and something that happened with Mitch, the bitch McConnell. But first, I want to send a message to YouTube proper that I want to send you a memo. You probably won't read it, but you know what? I don't give a fuck because you are a piece of crap from Silicon Valley who has people that don't care about freedom of speech. I don't ask to kill anyone. I don't ask for anything. I don't partner to your damn website. There's a couple of things that I want to talk about right here, right now. They are so hard on promoting positivity when half of their crap in terms of ads is these fake ads that come up with these robotic voices. I'm sure you've probably seen it. They're selling boxes full of army grade stuff. It sells out pretty quickly. Or they say something to the effect that if you don't respond, this ad will go away, that kind of shit. If they're so into cleaning up misinformation, why don't they start with their ads? Well, I'm to check my mail on my Keeping It Real portion of this YouTube platform. And I found out I lost some of my privileges in terms of pinning comments and all that shit because my channel is not uplifting enough. Well, you know what? You can't live your life through rose-colored glasses. Sometimes you have to tell what the hell is going on in the world. Okay? That means people killing each other over the most stupid shit. Or Karens going crazy on the streets. Or road ragers causing problems. I also want to talk about how YouTube will be deleting inactive Google accounts. So you have like 3 or 4 emails. You have different ones for each thing. Like I have one for groovy music, music and news, keeping it real, this extension here, and plus one other one. 1 or 2 other ones that I have on this platform. I have so many of them. Even one for My Little Pony, which I haven't updated in 3 years. Word has it that by December, that they're going to start deleting inactive email accounts. They won't delete your videos, but the actual email account that goes with that will be deleted. And I got on my email today. Let me go on to Google here. And I will read you that information that I got so lovingly in my email box here from YouTube itself. I go to a place called Google Workspace, which I'm doing now. I'm not on camera, so yeah. Come on, you piece of crap. Okay. First thing I want to talk about here. I guess they scanned my live stream from the other day about my shot about Sinead O'Connor on my music and news, Keeping It Real, whom I thought she was a real bitch, and how she tore up a picture of the Pope on a comedy sketch show called Saturday Night Live. I'm not religious by any means, but I don't like it when somebody takes a good person like Pope John Paul II, takes his picture on nationwide television and rips it up in front of the whole fucking country, not to mention the world. That is what she's mostly known for. That and a Prince song. And she's not worthy of Mr. Prince. But let's see here. This one says, "Hi, music and news, keeping it real. To help keep our community safe, we limit some of our more powerful features to channels who have either built or maintained a positive channel history or who have provided verification. We notice that some of your recent activity might not follow our rules. Your channel has lost access to some advanced features. How this impacts the channel itself." This one says, "You won't be able to do things like get higher daily limits for live streams, shorts, and video uploads. Embed your live streams, pin comments, add external links to your video descriptions." And it says to restore access, you can basically pander to building a positive influence. Follow your community guidelines. Well, you know what? You can't live your life in rose-colored glasses. You just can't. Like, I was on here not long ago where Channel 4 in my city of Columbus posted a video of a bus driver being attacked by an old man, or that he beat up an old man. Let me see if I remember right. Okay, Channel 4 posted a raw video of an old man being beat up by a Coda bus driver. This is the regular bus service in my city. The guy went so far as to attack the guy on the street and beat the living crap out of him. That video got pulled down due to the violent nature. But again, sometimes you can't hide the truth from people. You can't hide the truth. You cannot be sunshine and rainbows all the time. You just can't. I don't care. I don't care. But they say in order to restore my advanced features like pinning comments and all that shit, embedding live streams, you can pander to their so-called positive channel history, follow community guidelines. I get the community guidelines, but sometimes life can't always be positive. Why don't you go after some of these cancer channels? Why didn't you go after Mommy 05 and Daddy 05? Oh, because you'd be held liable for that. But you know what? You cannot hide the truth. You can't hide the truth that Mich the bitch McConnell is very ill. I'm sure you heard about that, about him being spaced out. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm sure you guys saw the news a few days ago where Mich McConnell was on camera talking with the press about different things that was going on. But like the rest of us, I have been offline trying to take care of my life. And I'll get into that toward the end of the video here. Mich McConnell was on TV on CNN. I happened to get on this morning. I was watching videos on here, and they showed that Mich the bitch McConnell spaced out in front of the country while talking to the press. He stopped in mid-sentence for over 30 seconds. Hello. I'm sorry I haven't been on here to talk with you, but I've been looking at articles and dealing with the bullshit that YouTube is trying to pull on its users. So they want me to build a positive sunshine and rainbows channel. Not going to happen. I could do without the pinning and the embedding, thank you. Don't need that. Don't care enough about it. But I want to let you know that if you have multiple emails for different channels, set up by the lovely Google Plus years ago, remember that? You have to have a Google Plus account in order to access YouTube. Didn't have to have it before. But now they're starting to delete inactive channels by at least December or January. So, yeah, you won't lose your videos. They essentially delete your email that is connected to those old channels, and it locks you out of that YouTube process, which I think is bullshit. I'm thinking about deleting some of them myself. I don't need a Silicon Valley bastard telling me how to run my channels. I take certain time to do my Keeping It Real channels. I have music and news, Keeping It Real, my Keeping It Real extension here, a Sesame Street channel, a My Little Pony channel. I don't know if I'm going to update that since a friend of mine, Michael Morones, died after years of fighting back from being bullied. As you know, that young man liked the show My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and for a while he shrugged off the hatred and the snarky comments. But everybody has a stress limit, right? Everybody has a high stress point. And when I talked about getting rid of toxic friends in your life years ago, we'll talk about that in here too. Um, people bully for the most worst reasons. We had a big one in the White House about 4 years ago. Remember Donald John Trump, who is up the creek without no paddle right now? I hope they indict him. I hope they lock him up for decades. And if he can't do it, they should put his son Don Jr. in jail. But this poor kid that I talk about, his name was Michael Morones. A lovely young kid who read the good book. As long as he didn't share that stuff with me, he could do whatever he wants. He liked Pinkie Pie, the party pony. A bunch of kids thought it would be really funny to bully him. And this went on for quite a while from what I heard. Till one day he came home, and the stress of that and having a fight with a member of his family, that kid went to his room and tried to hang himself off the bed, off the bunk bed. And for many years, he lived in a perpetual coma, barely able to speak. I don't know if he could see, but for about 8 or 9 years, he lived in a perpetual disabled mode. Then to add on top of that, his brother gets diabetes, and his mother had just gotten him a van that he would be able to be transported to go and make memories with him, because she knew he was fading. Slowly but surely he would fade. And that poor kid died when his body just gave it up. We were hoping for the day that he would wake up and start talking again. He would laugh in his sleep, because maybe when he was sleeping, he was actually very happy. But he gave the bullies a run for their money, even though he would eventually succumb to what happened to him. He was a fighter in the first order. But it shows what bullying can do to a person. And I've been bullied as a kid. I've been bullied when I was younger. I was bullied when I started on here for liking a game show called Press Your Luck and the host, Peter David Tamarkin. We'll get into that here for a second. Yeah, as a young kid going through school in 1983 or 84, Press Your Luck came on the air, and I love the whammies. I love the fun. big bucks, no whammies, no whammies. And when they hit the whammy, little characters dance across your screen. And I had a crush on the host. I'm not going to lie. He was very handsome, very cute. And a lot of people in the GSN community thought of me as weird. Some people call me a legend in Press Your Luck. I don't think so. I don't think I'm anything, to tell you the truth. If they want me to be honest and try to be positive, there are times that you just can't. Because I was bullied by some sucker out in California, but at the time I didn't know that. This person would take my videos, like if I made a tribute to George Harrison, the person would steal my One True Media creation and put it up on their channel and try to claim it as their own. Then this bastard made a threat on my dad. And when you go after members of my family, don't expect me to sit still and be quiet about it. Because you threaten my family, your ass is grass. And this went on for over 2 years. And it was hard. It was starting to ruin my appreciation for that show. In fact, I haven't watched it for years. One, I can't afford GSN. I watch mostly YouTube through my TV or Prime Video. I won't even watch the show on there, so yeah. As a matter of fact, I put it in the Do Not Remind Me files. I don't watch any game shows, really. And, this person would stalk me everywhere online. Somehow or another, this person had it out for me. He or she would follow me in different platforms, YouTube, game show type stuff. My saving grace on that is there was a place called Game Show Temple. They tried to help. They were taking snapshots and sending them to me through email of what this person was saying and other different things that I would have to take down to the district attorney's office. Can you imagine leaving your home, going down to the district attorney's office in downtown Columbus, Ohio, sitting there for a whole afternoon, not eating anything? You barely can get water on your stomach. And I was harassed and bullied. I had the cops in my bedroom twice. That was humiliating. And finally, somebody at one of these websites, I can't remember what it was. It's been so long. Because Peter died in 2006, and by 2009, I was running on burnout. And this person kept saying, I'm in Datsburg. I'm in this and this. And I'm like, this has got to stop. Somebody from one of these websites gave me the internet service provider, which is the address of your computer. And I took that down to the district attorney's office, along with all the printed out affidavits and papers that they were able to get of what this person was doing to me. And by this time, it's the middle of winter, and I do everything I can to keep my nerves under control. And I went out to the mall, and I took the letter that they had sent me saying, we're going to close the case. There's nothing we can do. And I sat there in the mall, in the food court at Eastland, years and years and years before the place closed. I sat there at Eastland Mall, wrote out a letter, and I said, if you think you're going to close this case, you got another thing coming. Because We're only talking about my life here and the life of my father and possibly the rest of my family? Are you kidding me? You're not going to look at this and you're not going to follow through on the ISP that I freaking gave you? And I said, I'm not going to rest until you get to the bottom of this. Because if this person finds it within themselves to come to my house to harm me or my father, that'll be on you. And sure enough, it gave him a good swift kick in the ass crack to actually follow through on the internet service provider. And you want to know how I got this bitch? First off, let me say this person followed me on two different channels. Um, Wheelock MT for life and Wheelock MS for life. She had got, it was a she. She had gotten on her channel and complained that she had gotten a cease and desist letter from the DA's office here in my city. And she made threats to kill my father. Where were you on that, YouTube? Where were you on that years ago, YouTube? Give me a break. This person got on both of her channels, and complained and made threats about killing my dad. And when you make threats about killing somebody's family member, no. I would, if that woman wasn't in California, I would have gouged her damn eyes out if I had my way, or worse. But bullying sucks. And I feel like I'm being harangued by YouTube's stupid guidelines. Yet they want to impose COPPA guidelines on other channels in the adult YouTube world. This is not Romper Room. This is not Sesame Street. This is real life. If we can't talk about it, where can we talk about it? Give me a break. Been there, done that, and it's in the files. And when I say I've gone through shit, I'm going to talk about it. Just like NBC4, NBC, CBS, ABC, PBS, they have every right to post news bits, even graphic content, even though YouTube doesn't like it. Especially about the old man that was beat up by a bus driver here in my city. And let me tell you something. That bus driver does not represent me or my city. I believe in loving your fellow man, no matter what color you are, no matter what race you are, no matter where the hell you're from. If you're Russian and you have good intentions, welcome to my country. Those that want to come over here and bring Shiite or use the Quran to put one verse here, one verse there, put it in a blender and pull off their ill-gotten gains, those are the people we don't want. This is what we really need to talk about. And I'm not going to stop. And if I have to take it to another website, then so be it. I'm tired of my rights as a YouTube user being trampled on by a bunch of power-hungry people from Silicon Valley. Just like I have a Sesame Street channel, but it is not for kids. I made damn sure of that. Because Sesame Street, as we know, is a dead property. At least in my eyes it is. Especially after the loss of Jim Henson. They took his name off the show. Then recently, the last of the cast members, the last of the supportive structure of Sesame Street, the OGs, have been let go from Sesame Workshop. And as I've said before, and I'll say it again, there was no miscommunication between Sesame Workshop, HBO, or its denizens. The only one that's really left anymore is Alan, and I feel sorry for him. because he has to work with a conglomerate that doesn't care about the lower income people that don't have HBO, that can't afford HBO. And as you all know, I think HBO Max dissolved and it's just now Max. So, yeah, there you go. Corporate greed at its finest. And I see why people are leaving YouTube. I see why people are leaving Twitter. I see why people are going to a thing called Threads. I might have to check that out. And I have other video platforms that I'll share my shit on. But you'll have to message me if you're a friend of mine. You'll have to message me on Facebook in order to get that info. Otherwise, I'm not going to share that crap here. So I don't want the political police telling me what I feel I need to talk about. And the last thing I want to talk about is Mitch the Bitch McConnell. The reason why I call him the bitch is because he follows a guy like Donald John Trump, who thinks Biden should not be in office. He's too old. He and his son are doing bad things. Nothing was ever found on that. Get off the record. And again, this morning I woke up, turned on my TV, was just going to watch YouTube through the television today until I found a video that said Mitch McConnell freezes during a press conference, a conference with the press. And he paused during a sentence for over 30 seconds. Looked like an Alzheimer's patient. He looked like a deer in the headlights. And he looked like he was going to fall over at one point. Like he wasn't steady on his feet. And I have the footage to prove it. I'll have to cut it up and play it in a loop for you so you know I'm not lying. If you want, you can go to CNN.com or the Young Turks. They're even talking about it. Probably Midas Touch has gotten a hold of it, but I don't follow Midas Touch no more. No. Because I speak what I feel. Mitch McConnell is 81 years old. He is an elder statesman. His health is failing him. He's had a history of falls. He fell at a hotel, got a concussion, busted some ribs, and he just recently fell again. And this latest thing with spacing out on camera. And I even said on a CNN video today, I said, that man is not well. He is nowhere near capable of running his position in government. Maybe it is time that they have term limits. After all, they do have term limits for presidents. 4 years if you are elected 1 year, 8 years if you're reelected for a second term. If they can give a president 8 years, then members of Congress should go through the same guidelines. No exceptions. You can't have one without the other. You can't ask for Biden to be out when Mitch McConnell couldn't even finish a sentence 2 days ago. He is fading as a person. His health is failing him. He's had polio when he was a kid. That I do feel sorry about. Because Katherine Jackson of the Jackson 5 had polio. I don't know if she's still alive. But you think after dealing with polio when you were young, you'd have a better understanding of what not just disabled people go through, but people with cancer, people with ALS, people with cerebral palsy, any disability or limitation out there. But no, during Trump's tenure, they just let Trump run off at the mouth, mock a disabled reporter, mock women, and yet, Mitch McConnell is still in office for several terms too many, in my view. And it's just time for him to get out of office, get his affairs in order, go home, and live out the rest of his years, if he has any years on him to give. And a lot of people are concerned. A lot of people are calling it karma. Maybe so. But he needs to get to the doctor, get his affairs in order, and basically get out of Congress and live out the rest of his days. So, yeah. And that's what I mean. Life is not a carnival. Life is not sunshine and rainbows. My dad said at one time, he says, I never should have raised my daughter to think that life was going to be all sunshine and rainbows. I had those rose-colored glasses on, is what he said. But she's learning the harsh realities of life, and I hate it. And that's what YouTube needs to learn. You need to learn that life is not always positive. We are killing each other at a rapid rate. What does the world expect us to do? People aren't going to change. I think humanity is a lost cause. I'm being honest. If we're not willing to straighten up and fly right and learn to care about our fellow man, maybe it is time that the Earth imploded, kind of like the Titan submarine. Come on. I'm not fooling around here. I'm not fucking around here, YouTube. You can complain about your puny little guidelines, but your actions on YouTube haven't helped either, with the fake ads, with the robotic voices. And I think some of you know what the hell I'm talking about. Because there are users out there that go out and buy some of these flimsy products to show us that the ads are not all that they seem to be. So, yeah. They save us from having to blow our hard-earned money on worthless pieces of plastic or worthless junk in a box. So, unless you want to, don't come onto my platform that I set up with my hard-earned sweat, tears, and I don't care if people hate me for my disability, if they hate me for my feelings about certain people. And if you think I'm going to be sad about when Trump dies, no. Because he certainly didn't show President Biden much respect. He didn't even go to the inauguration. And maybe it's best that moon pile didn't go to the inauguration of President Biden. I wouldn't want him there. And as Michael Rappaport always called him, the Dick Stain Donald Trump. Check out the guy, Michael Rappaport. He is a staunch enemy of former President Trump. So, yeah. And I hear that Donald Trump is on the cusp of being indicted yet again. I haven't watched any of the news as of the last couple of weeks. I've been dealing with a lot around here. My neighbor, as I said, lost her daughter to whatever it was that killed her. But my feeling is she might have had a blood clot in her lung because her mother said to her daughter, roll over, you're snoring. Because that girl would stay up all night playing video games and then she would sleep during the day. Basically, she got lazy, I think. Plus, I heard she had congestive heart failure at 53. Are you kidding me? And then my brother said, you didn't hear the fire truck or the ambulances out here? And I said, no, why? He goes, well, Peggy's daughter's dead. Her name was Erin. He goes, Aaron's dead. And I'm like, what? And he told me what happened. And I'm like, oh, man. And I said, the scary thing is, bro, her mother would often come over and talk with me if I was waiting to leave, go to doctor's appointments or go out shopping or go out to eat. She would be like, I'm going to outlive all my kids. And her prophecy essentially came true. The only thing she has left is her granddaughter and grandson. Yeah. I think she has a granddaughter and a niece. So, yeah. That's all that's left. All her other kids are gone. She may have one kid left. But I'm not real close with her last child, so I couldn't tell you what her name is. All I know is that she's an insminger. That's it. But, that's why I said, life is not a sunshine and rainbows kind of life. It just isn't. You have to be honest, you have to be open, and you can't sugarcoat stuff. That's what YouTube wants you to do, is walk around on eggshells and not talk about anything serious. But my message to YouTube, get off the cross, honey. Somebody needs the wood. In other words, clean up these fake ads with the robotic voices and stop forcing your COPPA guidelines on regular users of the regular YouTube. You have YouTube Kids for that. And a lot of kids that are now getting older are getting sick and tired of having their comments or stuff turned off for, say, Teddy Ruxpin or the ponies, My Little Pony. We're talking about old cartoons like Captain Caveman, Rugrats, Doug. You know what I'm talking about. Even good old-fashioned Saturday morning, a pup named Scooby-Doo, or the Space Cadets from Hanna-Barbera. So, yeah. That's my message to you, YouTube. Get off my back. Stop telling me what I can and cannot pin. If I want to pin a favorite place in mine, I should be able to do that. If I want to talk about the most serious of things, like Mitch McConnell's health, I can talk about that. Because we are in America, right? A lot of people call his recent blank out karma. I could agree with that. But seriously, folks, people like Mitch McConnell, people that go into politics, people that go into working for the House or the Senate or an independent, they should have freaking term limits. The guy is 81 years old. He was so hot to trot about getting Biden out of office that they'll do anything to get him out of office, even make up possible fake stories about Hunter Biden. I don't care if Hunter Biden ran around his house in a chicken suit or buck naked. What does this have to do with Biden? Biden's just doing his job. He's not out there to make kissy faces at Vladimir Putin. He went in there and started going to work. He didn't hang out with Kim Jong-un. He didn't sit behind a computer eating hamburgers and Diet Cokes. No. And sure, he had a fall. But, he's still doing the job. He dealt with a speech impediment. He's doing the best he can. And if he doesn't run in 2024, I wish him all the love in the world. Because Donald Trump doesn't know a damn thing about love. He doesn't understand or grasp the scope of humanity and how much we all need each other. That is what I mean. And sometimes I don't want to be positive because I know the world has turned into enough of a shit show as it has. People killing each other over the most stupid things. A transgender person walked into a former church school that she went to and opened fire, killing the headmaster of that school and the person who opened that school, and killed a couple of students on top of that, leading the police to go in there, find a way to get to the shooter and neutralize the threat. And people killing each other over the most stupid things. Um, let's see. Road rage incidents have gotten people killed. People going into their job and killing their boss and coworkers. Students going to their school and having a kill list. And then people posting shit here on YouTube. Elliot Rodger being one. Posting his manifesto. People complained about it. Nothing was done. And for years after that incident in Isla Vista, his videos still remained active. And sometimes people do a discussion about incels and the incel community, and Elliot Rodger comes to mind. And there are still some people that think of him as a hero. No. To me, Elliot Rodger is a major league chump who thought women should get on their knees and suck his tiny little wee-wee. Well, that's not the way the world works. If you come off with a creepy vibe, people are going to pick up on it. And let's see. Oh, yeah. The guy who did the shooting at WDBJ on Allison Parker and Adam Ward. That guy wasn't happy with himself. He was an openly gay man who, at that time, if you were black, you didn't necessarily come out as a gay man. And there's something out there that people say, people like that guy was an injustice collector. They see everything wrong with people. They see if somebody has a cooler and on top of that cooler, a watermelon. He sees that as a racial insult. Or Allison Parker was talking to a friend of hers about somebody on Cotton Hill Road. He took that as a racial insult. In fact, he chased down a guy in his car and tried to start a beef with him. But the guy he was chasing down thought he's crazy. He caught it all on camera. And the guy's name was Bryce Williams on TV. He said to the guy he was stalking, he says, "You need to lose some weight, sir." And all because of his injustice collecting. He went to WDBJ and gunned down a cameraman and a young girl just starting out in her career. In fact, that young lady, Allison Parker, interned at WDBJ. And she wound up dying at a news feature that they were doing where one of the places was celebrating 50 years. They were doing a news piece about Hunter Lake. I think it was called Hunter Lake. And they were doing their news piece, and they were talking to Miss Gardner. And all of a sudden, shots rang out, killing the cameraman and mortally wounding Allison Parker. The woman that was being interviewed survived. And the guys working at the station, the guy that was working the video feeds at the station, saw a ticking watch where Adam Ward lay dead. And he was going to get married. He had his whole life ahead of him. He was going to leave the news business and go down to Charlotte to begin his life with his wife-to-be, Melissa Ott. And she was calling her husband-to-be and said, "Honey, please answer me. That was scary." And she started to go toward the viewing room where you could view the video as it was coming through the camera. And the guy that was working the office there stopped her at the door because he didn't want her to see the ticking watch of her now deceased um, fiance. You know, it's it's a really crappy thing, you know. All these years later, you have to wonder why. But when they went to this guy's house, the shooter's house, they found a basically a bare bones apartment, dirty dishes in the sink, and posted up selfies of himself. He probably thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. But no, here is what I see. Bryce Williams was a guy that was unhappy with himself. He didn't know how to handle what was going on. And he knew what he was doing. He bided his time and he killed two innocent people. Not only that, but he strangled his cats that he had before he went and did the deed on Allison and Adam. So, yeah. Something has definitely gone wrong in our society. We need to change the trajectory. And if we don't, humanity is done for. But what can I say? I'm just a mindless machine that YouTube doesn't want people to relate to. Come on. To YouTube, I'm just a nobody. They'll try to silence any creator in any way possible. You can bank it. If they're certain to take away so called privileges on this website, then they're going to start deleting unused emails. If you have 10 or 12 channels on this megaverse, which I'm sure some do, but they take months on one channel or years on one channel, then they go over to another channel because it gives them something different to do. But you know, YouTube needs to learn that people have lives outside of the internet. And I've been trying to get mine back on track because even though most of my health checks came back healthy, I have to go see a kidney specialist. I went for the consult back on the 11th of this month, and he said, "We're going to help you through this. Try not to worry." And I told him when I went into the office, I said, "When I found out I had to come and see you guys, I cried for an hour." And he's like, "Well, don't worry. We're going to help you get through this. Try not to worry. We'll get you in. We'll get you taken care of." But, you know, after leaving that office, I went to Easton to try and get out and clear my mind and clear my head. Well, in my euphoria of being out and away from the house after 2.5 years of the COVID pandemic, I ran into a flower pot and tore off a nail, which kind of leaves me in my bed. But my toe is looking better, but I'm not taking any chances until after the first of the month. So I have to go into the doctor's office here in October and get my kidney scanned. Otherwise, I'm hanging in. But as I've said, if we don't start looking after ourselves and taking stock in what we have, we are done for as a humanity. And as to Mitch the Bitch McConnell, I can't say I feel sorry for him, but he did look like a deer in the headlights. So expect another video tonight, sometime between 10 and 11 o'clock. I got to take a break, get something to drink, rest a bit, and you'll see a clip on this channel and you'll see a clip on my home channel. I'm going to start documenting what's going on with Mitch the Bitch. Because they're all so hot about getting Biden out of office, but I think it's time for people like Mitch to get out. Because he looked like a deer in the headlights. He looked like he was having a ischemic attack. It's like a mini stroke. Because my dad went through those mini strokes. And he looked like he wasn't even there. He started talking to the media. But you just don't stop in mid-sentence unless you're falling asleep. But he wasn't falling asleep. He was fully awake, but it's like he spaced out. And he acted like he didn't know where he was or if anybody was talking to him. And the last thing I want to talk about is that he may be having problems with his hearing. Because as I've said, he's had many falls. He suffered a concussion at a hotel, was out for a while, came back, but during one of these falls, he broke some ribs and other things going on. So, in this latest freeze up, it doesn't look good for him. And as I've said, maybe it's time for him to just hand over power to somebody younger to continue the job, because I think there should be term limits. I mean, if you want to run for president for 8 years, you have 8 years. Once you do those 8 years, if you're reelected, you're done. And I think the same thing should be said for many members of Congress. I think his age is catching up with him, his body is failing him, and he needs to come to grips with that. A lot of people say, oh, people are saying he may have had many strokes. Maybe so. Maybe he's getting signs of dementia. Maybe he's got Alzheimer's disease starting. So, yeah. Look at Tony Bennett. The guy was 96 when he died of Alzheimer's. So, yeah. And to YouTube, I'm going to speak what I feel, whether you like it or not. It doesn't always have to be positive. You get us when we post music. You get us when we try to talk about things that's important. Well, if I can't do it here, I'll do it on another platform. They'll welcome my business. So, up yours, YouTube. How's that for positivity? I hope another platform will overtake you one day. Thank you for listening, people. Have a good afternoon, and be on the lookout for that space out on Mitch McConnell. Maybe I'll play it in a loop for an hour so you guys could see, is this what you want running our country? I don't think so. It's just like with my dad, when he had those stroke attacks, when his body started failing him, he retired from his job and lived out the last 10 to 15 years of his life at home. Sometimes we would go cross country and camp, but those were very few and far between, so we didn't live the fabulous life. But when his health really started going downhill, he packed all that shit in, sold off the trailer, and came home to be with family. After all, that's what life is about. Family. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's not about being in allegiance to one man as Donald Trump wanted. No. I'm fighting for my rights. I'm fighting for my rights as a person, as a human being, and I'm telling the whole world, get your crap together. Because one day, the earth is going to implode like the Titan sub. And when it does, I don't want to be around when it does. Bye.